NVIDIA's stuff. Should we talk about that?
Oh, right. Yeah, I was going to talk about
NVIDIA
DLSS
CES
4.5. Okay, so this was like the first time that I can remember that NVIDIA has undersold something. When we were talking with them,
they've oversold literally everything since the 1000 series launch, in my view.
Really? 3000 series was pretty sick.
You don't think it was they fibbed some stuff in their keynotes?
3000? I think the one thing that you could go after them for 3000 series was that 8K gaming on the 3090, while technically true, we tried it. It worked. It was like unnecessary. And I don't think that's a fib so much as a misread of the direction the market was going. Like there's a lot of games that you could game at 8K on a 3090. 3000 series is pretty sick. Okay. I don't know, man.
All right, fair enough.
Chad, if you they're still just talking about like President Richard Tater over here.
Maybe I'm conflating the price jumps around that time.
Well, right, but that was
MSRP stuff.
That was partially Nvidia's, participation, but also a
all
larger.
I know is that I was frustrated with every one of them.
At launch, it was pretty great.
Okay, cool. All right, fair enough.
So okay,
DLSS 4.5.
So DLSS 4.5. So when we're doing the pre-brief, they're walking us through it, and they're basically like, yeah, so we think this is as big a leap forward as DLSS 4.0 was in terms of image quality compared to what came before. And it's trained on like 5 times the data, or 5 times the compute was something, whatever metric they're using. And it is like in many cases closer to ground truth than what we call native rendering these days, which is actually not compared to the like many samples that they're taking for their reference images that they're using for comparison to benchmark the image quality of their model. And like our first question was, okay, if I'm to believe any of this that you're saying, then why did you not call it DLSS 5 with the second gen transformer model? And they basically went, well, it's a second generation of the transformer model. We're not actually adding anything new. We have more multi-frame gen, but it's just more multi-frame gen. So
that's actually quite logical.
We arbitrarily picked 4.5.
Sure.
And that kind of got me going, okay, well, then there's no way that it's going to be as big of an improvement as they claim that it is, because there's no way that NVIDIA would have missed an opportunity to market something as the best thing ever. You need more green in your life. Like, there's no way. So I get into the booth and I'm like shooting my intro and I'm kind of, dunking on AI a little bit. We have stupid AI cartoon Jensen holding a bubble wand, and like, we're kind of teasing them a little bit, and then I get in front of the system and I'm like, holy shit. Like this looks really good. And I saw a fair bit of criticism on the video that I didn't move the character in Black Myth Wukong. That was only because they had the character in like exactly the same spot on both systems, and I told them I wouldn't, but I could pan the camera. Like I could move the scene. And then the other one where they didn't just not want me to mess up their demo. I was allowed to do whatever I wanted with it. That wasn't NVIDIA hiding anything. What's up?
Sorry, the top comment on this video. This NVIDIA video that you did, the top comment is, how long before fake frames become real frames and NVIDIA has to make fake frames out of fake frames?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just reading that and then can't wait for 5090 performance on a 6050. Both of those just got me giggling.
They hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got in front of it and I'm switching between the two models. So NVIDIA had set up for their demo so that you could switch between old DLSS and new DLSS. You could just have a hotkey to toggle the models. It's like, wow. The boiling is so reduced. The general sharpness and clarity is so much better. And when they told me in the pre-briefing that it was going to help with HDR, I was like, what are you even talking about? That doesn't even make any sense to me. But then once I saw it in action, I was like, oh, okay. So it doesn't make your monitor brighter, obviously, but it does a better job of detecting glowing objects and particle effects and things in motion that are supposed to be bright. So yeah, it doesn't make your monitor brighter, but it does make the HDR effect more impactful.
Sure.
It is a marked difference in image quality to the point where I was looking at it going, for the first time, I would just turn this on. No brainer in any game that it looks this good in. And like multi-frame gen, obviously latency is still going to be a thing, right? But Nvidia actually, to their credit, mind blown, had their demo set up for what's that game called? The like the space exploration, the sequel. Help me. What game was that?
Space exploration sequel.
Yeah. Oh, Outer Worlds 2. Thank you. So on
sense.
Outer Worlds 2, their frame gen demo was running on, I think it was like 5060 Ti's or something like that. Like they didn't just show the top
Here's a
end
5090. Yeah.
the top end card. They weren't showing, here's a card that doesn't even need 6x frame genning 6x frames and getting 700 FPS or whatever. That they could have done that demo. But they chose instead to do Outer Worlds 2, which was using up to 6x frame gen and delivering, yes, high latency because it's generating more frames than it's actually rendering, but a very smooth animation experience. And it's important to understand what the point of the demo was. The point of the demo wasn't, this is how I would play this game. I wouldn't. I would turn down the details.
Which even the NVIDIA people, and I trash on their communication sometimes, but even the NVIDIA people very openly admit.
Yeah.
They wouldn't always even run it on at all. And when they do, they would run it at various settings. And this is why they offer you those things. I do respect that.
So the point of that demo wasn't, this is how I would run this game with 50 plus milliseconds of latency. The point of that demo was, how good do these generated frames look? And they look shockingly good for how many of them are fake frames, are generated frames. Dark Guy 2 says, pretty sure Jensen and other top people just don't care about gaming anymore and leave it to the lower teams. I don't know. Everything I've heard about Jensen is that he's like sort of a micromanager,
Involved with everything,
and like very involved. But I don't know how true that remains. He's been doing a lot of more like PR, like being a face of the company stuff lately, like interviews and things like that. So I don't know. I've met the guy, but I don't like know him. So it's hard for me to speculate on that. Anyway, yeah. DLSS 4.5, the new model, and you can try it for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. You can just go, and if you go in the GeForce app, if you have an Nvidia card, fairly recent gen, the older cards have a bigger performance hit on it, from my understanding. But you go into the Nvidia app, and then you have to find the option to opt into beta and experimental features, and then you just wait. As far as I can tell, they might have a check for updates now button. I couldn't find it when I was trying to set this up at a booth, and I was in a hurry, but I couldn't immediately find it. But I just waited a while, and eventually it prompted me to restart the Nvidia app. Just make sure you got the latest drivers, and then you select Model L or Model M, depending on your use case, and you can go find information on which one is best. And I turned it on in the MSI booth in Borderlands 4, and it was just like, wow, this is really good in this too. So I've seen it in Outer Worlds 2, I've seen it in Black Myth Wukong, and I've seen it in Borderlands 2, and it just looks really, really good. For the first time, I'm like, okay, well, this is just the future then.
It's interesting to me because, like, I don't love the, I can understand it, but I don't necessarily love the like, developers just suck and need to do better argument.
That is such a just lazy,
but
broad strokes.
Yes, but
nonsense argument.
You look at Arc Raiders and Embark, and you look at 1080s running that game north of 60 FPS.
Yep.
And it's like, oh man.
Well, it comes down to what you're trying to do. Some games are about lighting and ambiance, and some games are about making sure that
it looks great.
There's different ways to make a game look great.
And it's not the best looking game.
Yeah. So like, okay.
Yeah.
And
it's we're in it's such an interesting crossroads. Because on the competitive side, you don't want that input latency.
No, I wouldn't use any of this stuff for a competitive title.
But then,
of course not.
It is super interesting.
Actually, upscaling maybe. That's a longer conversation. But frame gen, absolutely not.
And there's always been different settings depending on if
Sure.
the game is competitive or single player, whatever.
Yeah,
But
totally.
this is like a very deep divergence in like how your computer is going to feel depending on how you set things up, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, again, that's where GeForce app comes in, where it's supposed to, you just click a button and it gives you the optimal settings.
There was a crazy thread
Yeah.
where a buddy and I were playing a game and he was having some performance issues and we were trying to figure out what the heck was going on. Because it was weird. He had like 25% GPU utilization and was getting 40 FPS.
Okay.
Like just odd.
Oh boy, here we go.
Googled it, brought him to a Reddit thread. The top voted comment was click optimize in the Nvidia app. Top voted comment. Not like everybody was just like, yeah, duh, do that. Not a debate really. Just click the optimize
No,
button.
like, conversation or anything, just like what it could be, what it couldn't be, what you might prefer versus what you might not prefer.
Nope. Just click the optimize button.
And did it work?
Yeah.
Cool.
Crazy.
Jeromer in Floatplane chat goes, DLSS will become like the lossless / compressed debate in audiophile circles.
I've seen, it might have been Dromer the previous time too. I saw this earlier in Floatplane chat, and honestly, if we're looking years in the future, I could maybe see that, especially if they figure out the latency thing. I'm talking like, that's tough.
Theoretically, Reflex 2 is the solution.
Will solve it or reduce it?
Reprojection, yeah. Solve it. Like, be better than native. Like, it's already used in VR. And they're clearly working at it. If you wanna familiarize yourself with the idea behind it, here we actually did a video on this a number of years ago now, I think. Linus reprojection thought of this here. Hold on. It's called "I'm Embarrassed I Didn't Think of This," asynchronous reprojection. It's super cool tech, and the original source is actually but here we go. So there's Comrade Stinger's original video and download links, so you can like play around with it. And then 2 Clicks Philip did a video about async reprojection as well. Oh, hello. Hold on a second. YouTube. Oh, well, that's interesting. My browser tab just like stopped working. Anyway, the point is, what it does is
Couldn't you still be shooting at a phantom?
You could, but there's already latency between you and your opponent anyway.
Yeah.
We just compensate for it. In the same way, we compensate as much as we can. So what async reprojection does is it decouples your inputs from the game's frame rate. So it moves opponents and other objects based on the updated data, but your interaction with the engine is completely decoupled and buttery smooth. So theoretically, there should be no downside as long as, wait for it, as long as you're still running at like a reasonable frame rate, but it will feel so much better.
That sounds like it's great for input lag, but I still feel like you might have issues with the whole shooting at phantoms thing. I don't know if this solves competitive gameplay.
So,
I might be misunderstanding something or just not very familiar with this.
No, there will still be disadvantages to having a low. Hold on, I'm actually just trying to think. No, hold on a second, because like if you're trying to snipe like a pin-sized head on a hill far away from you, then
sure,
they could move enough that it could be a problem. But if you're in like a close quarters shotgun fight or something, I kind of doubt it. I think you could be not shooting at phantoms. There will always asterisk, like functionally always, be purists and very, very high performance, like esports athletes who will just simply need a 9090 Ti Titan or whatever.
The thing that I'm trying to ask isn't even necessarily for myself. Like, is this going to make a difference for me? Realistically, no. But like, is Shroud going to turn this on?
Probably
insert other name. I don't know, whatever. But like, yeah.
So here we go. Okay, I've got my stuff fixed. So with just a few clicks, asynchronous reprojection demo takes 30 FPS and makes it feel like 240 FPS. And it's kind of hard to tell. But man, we have often done a pretty bad job. There we go. So this is what's happening. It's taking each one frame that you get, and it is decoupling your inputs from those updates.
No, I get that.
So at 30 FPS, it's what is that? 33 milliseconds. At 60 FPS, that's 16 milliseconds. That is freaking not a lot of time. So if you're running the game at some like reasonable refresh rate, 16, or let's say you can get 100 FPS. So now we're talking about more like 10 milliseconds or whatever. Would you rather have your inputs at 1,000 hertz on a 1,000 hertz monitor, even knowing that, the objects could be 100 milliseconds out of date or whatever, but probably not? If you tried it, pretty much everyone we put in front of it was like, holy crap, this is amazing. I would love this so much more.
My problem with the thing that I'm describing is you wouldn't really be able to tell super easily without analyzing individual, in a first person shooter game or something where if you're fighting with blades and it's physics based or whatever, you wouldn't be able to tell without analyzing. But
there's already so much slop in any kind of multiplayer game because of network latency anyway, that I just don't see this being the main issue.
For me, does this really? Nah, it's probably fine. Whatever. I didn't have a desktop for a long time. I have a desktop again. I was quickly reminded that I am now older and slower than I used to be. Nice. It is what it is.
Also rusty, but yeah. Also the other thing.
Yeah. And I do okay, but it's not. I'm not a competitive gamer, and I have long accepted this, and that's fine.
Me too. Even more than him. Not that it's a competition, but I have hardcore accepted being non-competitive more than he has.
Yeah, I still try.
Yeah. There's no point for me.
I'm wondering about the super optimized situation for someone who is genuinely in that level of competition, trying to do that thing.
Yeah.
Is this viable? That's the part where I'm wondering.
I don't know. I don't think we're going to know until we actually get Reflex 2 or 3 or 5 or who knows, right? Because clearly this was working well enough that someone was able to put together a very compelling, very exciting demo years ago. It's already working in VR games and used very actively. And Nvidia has been cooking on this for presumably this whole time. And they don't think it's ready yet. So
yeah, it'll just
we'll have to try it.
Because the reason for bringing this up is the whole lossless versus compressed audio thing.
Yeah,
is effectively universally used, in my opinion, except for I wonder what DMS would say. I wonder if he uses lossless or not. I'm actually not sure. He does use lossless? Okay.
I'm not convinced that he actually thinks it matters, though. I think it's one of those, I can, so.
If your equipment's good enough, you can hear it, but there's diminishing returns.
Okay.
Can hear it compared to what, though? Compared to,
not cheesy, high quality.
Yeah, compared to streaming or compared to a CD?
Well, CD is pretty much indistinguishable, right? Redbook's pretty damn high.
Well, so that's
compared to an MP3.
Sure.
Definitely.
That's what I'm talking about here. It's when we say, can you hear the difference from lossless? I think what Luke was getting at, lossless compared to any kind of lossy compression.
Decently high quality.
And I am personally not convinced, and I don't want to put words in DMS's mouth, but I'm pretty sure we've talked about it, and high quality compressed audio is pretty darn good.
Absolutely.